little bit of every evening, because I haven't done it up until now. Because one of the things that was actually really important to me was to do a little bit of the demystifying, which in today's day and age, we have a lot of summarization. Everything is headlines, everything is sound bites. Twitter is X number of characters. You can only get so much, but you can't really dig that deep beneath what you see on the veneer unless you actually put some effort into it. And one of the things that's very, very important to me is we hear a lot of names, which are extremely important. Right here we have Imagine Gallery, we have Stonehenge, we have Wow Talks, but behind each and every one of those names are actual people. Because without the actual people who start and make the first intent and take that intent and put it into action, nothing happens. And I just personally want to thank Michael, who is here and is representing Stonehenge, but isn't just representing Stonehenge, is the brainchild behind all of this, co-curating, co-creating with us. And when Michael and Lauren, his co-worker, came to myself and Shannon and started talking about the ideas and the visions that they had, we realized that they were perfectly aligned. And we had to sit there and capitalize on that and take actual hold of the moment and figure out what is it that we can bring as a benefit to the community at large that will parallel what we do in our everyday lives. Meaning, we will take our personal values and infuse them into what we do and what we share. And Michael's been an inspiration and a mouthpiece as well for a big, huge corporate entity that not only provides living spaces in New York City, but actually provides a lifestyle, actually does what they say they do in their marketing materials. And then on our side, we had to sit there and say, all right, well, we know the glitz and the glamour of what we do. We have a lot of people that love our events, that love our art, and that love the lifestyle that we display. But in order to display that, it's a monumental task. I had the easiest task of all. Mine was completely done, and so all I had to do was click a couple buttons and put a couple pictures on the wall. But this place would be nowhere if it wasn't for Shannon here, who had the absolute vision to create every single bit in every corner, and even this talk itself. Without her, none of this would have happened. And without Yarrow, none of the huge structures and the stuff that blows people's minds away when they walk in here and say, what is going on? Without him, it wouldn't exist. And without Gal deciding to take a moment outside of his own life and say, well, this is what I do, but now I need to also present something to the world that is within my heart and truly believes in what he does. And it's not just simply an activity that he wants to do, it's an activity that he has to do. And when he first approached Shannon and I talking about Wow Talks before, God, I've never been so moved by someone who wanted to do something and did it. And I want to thank you, because this whole evening wouldn't exist without you, and what you're doing is a genuine roadmap and a blueprint to actually making progress and making this world a better place, because I hope that every single person will gain something from tonight, the way I gained it by listening and participating in it. And tomorrow, I'm thinking about things slightly differently. And for everybody here, I hope that what Gal has brought here, and what Shannon brought here, and what Yarrow brought here, and what Michael brought here is a gift that you guys can all take home and use and internalize and then re-emanate into your own gifts. So that's my hijacking of the mic, and I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's a space to do it.
I just thank you, Peter, for all the recognition, but I also, the amazing thing about Imagine Gallery is that it's a collaboration between us three artists, but we could not have done this without our support staff. You know, for all the people that don't get recognized every day, who are here every day, you know, helping us. And And in like any single movement, in any single business, you know, you have your heads that always take the spotlight, but really this gallery is really built by love, and it's built by the love and energy from everybody who supports us. And so thank you again for everybody who's here.
Justin and Eugene especially.
Justin, Eugene, Ellie, Galen, I mean, Andrew, everybody who's here, who's participated. I don't think I need to list names, but there's been a lot of love built into this, and so I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you. This is not hijacking the mic. This is like, I don't know exactly what this space is for. Thank you. The first question I really, very curious to ask is, what inspired you to do what you do? These art installations, this movable art installation, the ladybug that we see there, what inspired you to start and create this kind of amazing installation?
The ladybugs were inspired by me wanting to create a light box. And how do you create a light box that's entertaining? How do you create a light box that is part of something greater than what it is? So I played with a lot of art cars and processed what makes them fantastic and amazing. And I never thought that building a school or a family of the same thing would even be an option. But when I landed on a ladybug, it seemed to just make sense that they needed to like hang out together. They always look better when there's 3 or 4 or 5. So truly that's what turned into the installation, is that it's a roving family of fun, and the more there are, the more fun there is. So the new thing that we have going on is we can wirelessly link the sound. So this year in 2014, we're going to do a lot of parades at festivals and events around the country. In the middle of the event, making the same music, and that's been my dream since the beginning, but haven't actualized it until now. So it's going to be really fun at a whole different level.
So, yeah, this is like being, I don't know if you've been to the Halloween parade in New York, but if you've been, you probably saw these art cars going on there. For you, when you look into the future, what will be, your dream, your Mount Everest that you would like to take your art into?
Well, I built the ladybugs to bring art cars to America because I felt like, we recognize them as being part of Burning Man, but we don't. The rest of America doesn't go to Burning Man. It doesn't see that, doesn't understand that. And so an art car to me has there's 2 vantage points. One is to drive the art car, and the other is to see the art car drive by. So, and they're both like equally exciting and fun.
Be on it. Or you're going to be on it and not drive it.
Yeah, I guess there's 3 perspectives. So, to me, where art cars are going is you're going to see them everywhere in advertising, because it's the cheapest way to make a billboard and to create experience. So as time goes on here, the roads are free and the experience can be created. So that's where it's going.
What's the moment that is most fulfilling for you in your work? Is it actually the creating, the designing, when you see people using the art cars and enjoying them?
to me, what I do is I create environments. So right now you're in one of my environments with the light, and the sounds, and the feeling that you get by objects that are nothing more than placed in a specific way. Materials, raw materials, such as the dragon's hoard in the middle is all junk from a scrapyard that is nothing more than placed tactfully and artfully. So where is this all going? I lost it, sorry.
Some people are good in PR and market themselves, and some people are just, good in doing amazing, fantastic, phenomenal things and very modest about it. And Yarrow, from knowing him personally for the last few years, he's the later version of these people. Very modest. The more you will look into his work, the more you will experience it, the more you will become absolutely humble. Because this is like taking so much hard work and so much passion to create spaces like that, to create experiences like he creates. True artist. Thank you. Thank you, Al.
I can tell you he's happy as bending metal covered in soot.
So, my next question for you is for you, Peter, about these images that are so powerful, so iconic. Is these images, when you go and create these images, do you have a plan, or is it all improvising and spontaneous? How do you go about, these images?
Well, that's a question I've received a bunch of times, because photography, unlike oil painting, is a moment where you can capture an existing image, or you can create an existing image, or you can do a mix of both. I guess the way I want to describe it is, at the very beginning of my career, when I embarked as a photographer, I was simply capturing moments. I was traveling around the world, and I was actually not a photographer at all. I was a business person. And during my travels for business, I was taking photographs. And those photographs I would email to friends, and those friends really started to like them. And then those friends shared them with restaurants, or friends that own restaurants, and friends that own hotels, and friends that own many different things. And all of a sudden I found myself being asked by those restaurants and those hotels if they could buy the images that I was taking. And then one day I found myself with a gallery exhibition. I didn't know even how to use my camera, let alone what a gallery exhibition was. Yet I found myself thrust into a career that I wasn't trained in, nor did I ever imagine that it was for me. So I came into the world of photography from a very untraditional route, where photography came and pulled me out of my day-to-day world. And so through the process of trying to figure out what I wanted to do and my voice as an artist, which I think at the end of the day, that's every artist's pursuit at the beginning of their career, is finding their voice. And then after you find your voice, you try to actually amplify your voice. Like many times in our lives, when we have this horribly large weight on our shoulders, if there's any way to exit where no one will blame you for it, it's a very easy way out. The set exploded, we could have walked away, I would have gotten pats on the back and a lot of sympathy. Oh my God, this is really horrible. And I could have said, oh my God, I know, and just sought, endless amounts of sympathy from everybody. But at that point where this notion of calamity striking comes, you have a decision point, and you can decide to take the sympathy, or you can decide that you truly believe that everything happens for a reason. And just because everything happens for a reason doesn't mean it's obvious, but it does present you with the opportunity to dig deep within yourself and find the reason. And I didn't know what it was, but all of a sudden something inside of me said, absolutely not, this is not going down like this, and we're going to get one shot, and even if we get one shot, that's what it's going to be. And Eva, who's the model in that photograph, is a dear friend, and she was there with another model, and she had actually been getting ready for this photo shoot for a whole day and a half, believe it or not, at Burning Man without really doing much else, which is not really standard out there. And the other model actually ran off, probably the smart thing to do from a sanity point of view, going, I'm not dying for art! Because what you can see is that's actually a semi-truck there, Yarrow semi-truck that we burned to the ground. And those are tires made of rubber that started exploding and sending melting rubber over us, which is not the safest thing. But anyway, to wrap this up and give the opportunity to other people, at that point we decided, let's get one shot. Eva composed herself. We took the one photograph, and that, which seemed like a complete calamity and an accident, was probably one of the best things that happened to my career, because that photograph has been seen multiple millions of times on the internet, where it's been passed around the world. It's been sold several times over, and it's probably been my showcase for a resume. So as opposed to being something that was a complete disaster, it was something that actually catapulted my career to a whole new level. And that was simply because of the fact that we had an amazing team, and at the moment when we can sit there and say, let's take sympathy and walk away, or let's figure this out, we kind of figured it out. And that's the one thing I tell, that's my parable, in the sense that no matter what it is, no matter how hard life gets, you can always find a way to not seek the sympathy. Not that sympathy is bad, but you can always find a way to turn it into something positive for yourself, as impossible as it may seem. So, as a wrap-up, I create some, I take some. I don't want to monopolize this. I could tell a lot more stories about each of the photographs, but some are captured and some are created.
I think we got it. We got it from the question. It's a really interesting talk Peter gave at Apple back in May, and he ended the talk with a question that really, I want to repeat this question because it's really a way to summarize what you just said. He asked, how can you turn your biggest challenges into the biggest opportunities? And that was exactly this moment, the moment of huge challenge, as it turned into a moment of opportunities that became an iconic image. So thank you for that. My next question is to Shannon. Shannon, do you see any parallels between your work as a jewelry designer and your work as a curator?
So a lot of the jewelry that I've created is all based upon collaboration. So my main motivating factor is I love creating for nonprofits. And I always looked at jewelry as my vehicle, not as my end being. Like, whenever anybody asks me about my passion, it's like, oh, is jewelry your passion? And I'm very, very passionate about jewelry, but what I'm more passionate about is creating a society in which that we are all going to be happy living in. I'm creating a future. And I use jewelry as my vehicle to do that, because the way that I work with my jewelry is based on collaborating with different songwriters, with different illustrators. I'm even collaborating with writers, authors, and the way that I've looked at this planet is that a lot of us are really based on the ego. It's like, who is this person that, you know, that you're striving to be more like? But honestly, the way that I think about it is like, who am I going to connect with that's going to, how are we going to do it together? You know, and so the way that I've done a lot of my jewelry curations, I also built into this gallery. So what's amazing about the gallery is that my partners is Peter Ruprecht and Yarrow Mazzeti, but we're so different. You know, Peter's a photographer, Yarrow Mazzeti is a fabricator, and I'm a jewelry designer, and you know, I've done events. But the thing that we have in common is that we love to create like art-based awareness, you know, art-directed awareness, and also with Stonehenge, and with anybody that is like-minded in that ethos of creating a better community by doing it together, that we cannot do it alone. And that's how I look at my business and my art in my jewelry, and that's how I look at the curations that I do at the gallery with the events that I choose, is that everybody is on that same path, and if we I mean, realistically, we are the majority, right? Like, we are the people, and if we all make the same decision to do so, then we can move mountains together. And you know, I'm just really grateful to having so many people around me that are incredibly talented and able and willing to, you know, it's a movement that's happening, and I think that everybody can feel it, with more people jumping on board of, like, you know, like, let's not think as much about me, but let's think about us. You know, how to make us happy. And so I feel very, very blessed, and thank you for everybody who's been involved with the gallery, who supported the gallery, who supported, you know, the three of us through the years, and Gal, you know, such, you know, I mean, to have Gal come from London to help support Stonehenge and Imagine, you know, it's just unbelievable. I'm absolutely grateful.
Thank you, Shannon.